The great hall was silent, except for the soft humming of alien voices. Jake Morrison stood at the back of the room, watching as the most powerful beings in the galaxy made their choice. The Galactic Coalition had ruled space for over 1,000 years. 12 different alien races had worked together to build cities on distant worlds and create peace among the stars. They were all giving up. The Void Swarm had been eating planets for 3 years. No one knew where they came from or what they wanted. They looked like black clouds that moved between the stars, but they were alive. When they touched a planet, all the energy disappeared. The lights went out, the machines stopped working. Even the people felt weak and tired until they died. The Coalition had tried everything. They sent their best ships with the strongest weapons. Nothing worked. The swarm just ate the energy from the weapons and grew bigger. They tried to talk to the swarm, but it was like trying to talk to a storm. The swarm did not answer. It just kept eating. Jake watched as Commander Zeth of the Zealothi race spoke to the council. The Zealothi were tall and thin with blue skin. They were the smartest race in the galaxy. They could bend space and time with their minds. But even they looked scared. "We have lost 47 star systems," Zeth said. His voice was soft, but everyone could hear him. "Our quantum weapons cannot hurt them. Our shields cannot stop them. We must retreat to the edge of the galaxy and hope they do not follow." Next was General Krav of the Corvin. The Corvin looked like giant lizards with thick armor. They were the strongest fighters in the galaxy. Their plasma guns could cut through mountains. But Krav's head was down as he spoke. "My people have fought for 500 years without losing a battle," he said. "But we cannot fight something that eats our weapons. We must save who we can and leave the rest." One by one, each race gave their vote. The Manthari, who could see the future, said they saw only darkness ahead. The Ural, who lived in the deep ocean worlds, said the swarm would find them anywhere. The ancient Vorthik, who had been alive since before humans learned to make fire, said this was the end of their time. Every vote was the same: retreat, give up, save themselves, and let the swarm have the galaxy. Then it was humanity's turn. Admiral Lisa Carter stood up slowly. She was not very tall compared to the aliens around her. Her gray hair was pulled back in a simple style. She wore the blue uniform of the Earth Defense Force. To the aliens, she looked small and weak. Humans were the youngest race in the Coalition. They had only been flying between stars for 200 years. "Admiral Carter," said the council leader, an old Vorthik with silver scales, "how does humanity vote?" Carter looked around the room. Jake could see her thinking. 3 billion humans lived on worlds that the swarm would reach soon. Earth itself was in danger. The smart thing to do was to save who they could and run away. But Carter was not thinking about the smart thing to do. "We decline," she said. The room went quiet. Even the humming stopped. Jake felt his heart beat faster. Every alien in the room was staring at Carter. "I am sorry," the council leader said. "Did you say decline?" "Yes," Carter said. Her voice was strong and clear. "Humanity will not retreat. We will not abandon the people who are still trapped in swarm territory. We will fight." A Zealothi council member stood up. "Admiral Carter, please think about this. Your people are brave, but you cannot win. No one can win. The swarm has already eaten half the galaxy." Carter turned to look at the Zealothi. "Maybe we cannot win. Maybe we will all die trying. But we will not give up without a fight. There are still billions of people out there who need help. We will not leave them behind." "Your weapons are not as strong as ours," General Krav said. "Your ships are not as fast as ours. How can you succeed where we have failed?" Carter smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "Maybe we cannot succeed, but we can try. That is what humans do. We try when others give up." The council leader looked sad. We understand your feelings, Admiral. But feelings will not stop the swarm. Please reconsider. No, Carter said. Our answer is final. Humanity will stay and fight. The other races looked at each other. Some shook their heads. Others made sad sounds. They all thought humanity was making a terrible mistake. Very well, the council leader said. The coalition will begin the retreat immediately. We wish you luck, Admiral Carter. We hope we will see you again. But Jake could tell they did not really believe it. They thought humanity would be dead in a few months. The meeting ended quickly after that. The alien races began planning their escape. Ships would carry their people to the edge of the galaxy. They would build new homes there and wait for the swarm to finish eating everything else. Carter walked over to Jake. She looked tired but determined. Do you think I made the right choice? She asked. Jake looked at the aliens rushing around, making plans to run away. Then he looked at Carter. She was not running. She was not giving up. Yes, he said. I think you made the only choice we could live with. Carter nodded. Now we need to figure out how to win a war that everyone says cannot be won. As they left the Great Hall, Jake heard the aliens talking about humanity. Some called them brave. Others called them foolish. But one old Vorthik said something that stuck in Jake's mind. Perhaps, the ancient being said, it takes a young race to find new ways to fight old enemies. Jake hoped the old alien was right. Because if humanity was going to save the galaxy, they would need to find a way that no one had ever tried before. The war for the galaxy was about to begin, and humanity would fight it alone. 3 months had passed since the coalition left. The alien races were now safe at the edge of the galaxy, building new homes and trying to forget about the worlds they had left behind. But humanity had not forgotten. They had not given up. Doctor Nathan Brooks stood in his lab on the research ship New Horizon. The walls were covered with pictures and charts about the void swarm. He had been studying pieces of the creatures for weeks, trying to find something that others had missed. Nathan was a thin man with messy brown hair and thick glasses. He had spent his whole life studying alien life forms. But the void swarm was unlike anything he had ever seen. They were not really alive in the normal way. They were more like living energy that could think and move. Dr. Brooks, called Captain Amy Rodriguez from the doorway. Any good news today? Amy was a former test pilot who now commanded the New Horizon. She was small but tough, with short black hair and quick brown eyes. She had volunteered for the most dangerous flying missions during the war with the Mars colonies. Now she was ready to volunteer for something even more dangerous. Maybe, Nathan said, pointing to a screen full of numbers. I think I found something important. Amy walked over to look at the screen. The numbers did not make sense to her, but she could see that Nathan was excited. The swarm feeds on energy, Nathan explained. All kinds of energy. Heat, electricity, even the energy from atomic bombs. But they have never tried to eat human. Brain energy. What do you mean? Amy asked. Nathan pulled up another screen. This one showed pictures of human brains next to alien brains. Every race in the coalition thinks in a different way. The Zelavi think in pure logic. The Corvin think in terms of strength and honor. The Manthari think in pictures of the future. And humans? Amy asked. Humans think in chaos, Nathan said with a smile. We mix logic with emotion. We dream impossible dreams and then try to make them real. We are stubborn and creative and unpredictable all at the same time. Amy was starting to understand. So the swarm has never tried to eat the energy from human thoughts. Exactly, Nathan said. And I think our kind of thinking might be poison to them. Their minds work like a machine, all perfectly organized. Human thoughts are messy and wild. It might hurt them to try to understand us. Amy felt a chill run down her back. Are you saying we could use our own minds as weapons? I am saying we could try, Nathan said. But it would be very dangerous. We would have to find a way to make our brain energy stronger, strong enough to hurt the swarm. That afternoon, Amy called a meeting with the other ship captains. They met in the conference room of the New Horizon. The room was full of people who had volunteered to stay behind when everyone else ran away. Captain Ben Harper was there. He was an old soldier who had fought in 3 different wars. His face was covered with scars, and his gray hair was cut short like a military man. He had trained more human soldiers than anyone else alive. Chief Engineer Danny Walsh was there. Too, he was a big man with red hair and strong hands. He could fix any machine and build new ones from spare parts. If humanity was going to fight the swarm, they would need his skills. Dr. Sarah Kim sat next to Nathan. She was a brain specialist who understood how human thoughts worked. She had helped design the computers that could read human minds. Now she might help turn human minds into weapons. Dr. Brooks has found something, Amy said. Nathan, tell them what you told me. Nathan explained his discovery. He showed them the charts and numbers. He talked about how human thoughts were different from alien thoughts. When he finished, the room was quiet for a long time. So you want us to burn our own brains to fight the swarm? Ben Harper asked. Not burn, Nathan said. Focus, channel, turn our thoughts into a weapon. How would it work? Danny Walsh asked Doctor. Kim spoke up. We would need to build machines that could take the energy from human brains and make it stronger. Like taking the sound from a whisper and making it into a shout. That sounds incredibly dangerous, Amy said. It is, Dr. Kim admitted. The human brain is not meant to work that hard. People who tried this would age very quickly. They might live for only a few years instead of a normal lifetime. Or they might die right away, Nathan added quietly. The room was quiet again. Everyone was thinking about what they had heard. They were talking about asking people to give up their lives. In a new way. Not dying quickly in battle, but burning out slowly as their minds were used as weapons. How many people would we need? Ben Harper asked. Thousands, Dr. Kim said. Maybe tens of thousands. The swarm is huge. We would need a lot of human brain. Power to hurt them. And you think people would volunteer for this? Amy asked. Danny Walsh laughed, but it was not a happy sound. Captain, people are already volunteering to die fighting the swarm. At least this way, they might actually help win the war. Ben Harper nodded. I have been training volunteers for 3 months. Every day, more people sign up. Young people, old. People, rich people, poor people. They all want to help. But do they want to help enough to burn out their minds? Amy asked. There is only one way to find out, Nathan said. We ask them. The next day, Amy sent messages to all the human colonies. She explained Nathan's discovery and the plan to use human brain energy as a weapon. She was honest about the dangers. She told people they would age quickly and might die. The response was faster than anyone expected. Within hours, thousands of people were volunteering. Within days, it was tens of thousands. People from Earth, Mars, the asteroid colonies, and the outer worlds all wanted to help. Old soldiers who had fought in past wars volunteered. Young people who had never seen battle volunteered. Teachers, doctors, farmers, and factory workers. All signed up. Even some children tried to volunteer, but they were told they were too young. Amy read the messages in her office. Many of them made her cry. A grandmother from Earth wrote that she would rather die fighting than watch her grandchildren live in fear. A young man from Mars wrote that he had nothing to lose and everything to gain. A teacher from the asteroid Belt wrote that she wanted to protect her students. The message that touched Amy the most came from a little girl on Earth. She was only 8 years old, too young to volunteer. But she wrote, "Please use my daddy's brain to save everyone. He is very smart, and he loves me very much." Amy showed the message to Nathan. He read it and was quiet for a long time. "We have to make this work," he said finally. "We cannot let these people sacrifice themselves for nothing. Can we make it work?" Amy asked. Nathan looked at all the charts and numbers on his walls. "I do not know, but we have to try. Because if we do not, the swarm will eat everyone anyway." Amy nodded. "Then we better get started. How long do we have?" "The swarm is moving toward the inner colonies," Nathan said. "Maybe 6 months before they reach Earth." 6 months to build weapons that have never been built before, Amy said. 6 months to train people to use their minds as weapons. 6 months to save the galaxy. "No pressure," Danny Walsh said from the doorway. He had been listening to their conversation. "But I think we can do it." Amy looked at him. "Why?" Danny smiled. "Because we are human, and humans do not give up." Outside the window, Amy could see the stars. Somewhere out there, the void swarm was moving toward the world she loved. But also out there, thousands of humans were getting ready to fight back in a way no one had ever tried before. The galaxy had given up, but humanity was just getting started. The human fleet moved through space like a line of bright stars. 50 ships flew together toward the dark cloud that was the void swarm. Each ship carried hundreds of volunteers who had given up normal lives to become weapons. Captain Amy Rodriguez sat in the command chair of her ship, the Defiant. Around her, the crew worked at their stations. But these were not normal crew members. Each person was connected to the ship's new brain energy system. Cables ran from their heads to glowing panels on the walls. Amy could feel their thoughts mixing with hers. She felt Lieutenant Kelly Morgan's excitement as the young pilot flew the ship. She felt Engineer Paul Chun's worry as he watched the energy readings. She felt Dr. Lisa Wang's determination as she monitored everyone's health. The brain energy system had taken 4 months to build. Danny Walsh and his team had worked day and night to create machines that could take human thoughts and turn them into weapons. Dr. Sarah Kim had trained the volunteers to focus their minds and work together. It was not easy. The first tests had been disasters. People's brains could not handle the energy flow. Some volunteers had aged 10 years in 10 minutes. Others had fallen unconscious and never woken up. But humans kept trying. They changed the design. They found new ways to protect people's minds. They learned to work together like a single giant brain. Now they were ready to test their weapons against the real enemy. "Swarm contact ahead," Kelly Morgan called out. 3 minutes to first battle. Amy felt her heart beat faster. Through the brain link, she could feel everyone else's fear and excitement. But she also felt their determination. No one wanted to turn back. "Remember the plan," Amy said out loud. "We hit them fast and hard. We show them that humans are not easy prey." The void swarm appeared on the view screen. It looked like a black cloud with lightning inside it. The cloud was bigger than Earth's moon, and it was moving toward them fast. "All ships, prepare to fire," Amy ordered. The brain energy weapons were not like normal guns. They did not shoot bullets or lasers. Instead, they sent out waves of pure human thought. The thoughts were focused and made stronger by the machines Danny Walsh had built. "Fire!" Amy shouted. White light shot out from all 50 ships. The beams hit the swarm cloud, and something amazing happened. The cloud shuddered and pulled back. For the first time since the war started, the void swarm was hurt. Amy felt a cheer go up from her crew. Through the brain link, she could feel the joy from all the other ships. They had done it. They had found a way to fight back, But the victory did not last long. The swarm cloud began to change. It split into smaller clouds that moved faster. Instead of running away, it attacked. Incoming! Kelly Morgan shouted. The swarm hit the human fleet like a black wave. Amy felt the ship shake as the creatures tried to eat the energy from their engines. But the brain energy shields held. The swarm could not eat human thoughts the way it ate regular energy. "Keep firing," Amy ordered. "Do not let them get close." The battle lasted for 3 hours. The human ships flew in circles around the swarm pieces, shooting brain energy weapons and trying not to get caught. Some ships were damaged when the swarm got too close, but none were destroyed. When the battle ended, the swarm pieces retreated. The humans had won their first fight, but the cost was high. Amy looked around her bridge and saw that her crew had aged. Kelly Morgan's brown hair now had gray streaks. Paul Chun's young face had wrinkles. Dr. Wong moved slowly like an old woman. Amy touched her own face and felt new lines around her eyes. The brain energy system had worked, but it had taken years off their lives. "Damage report," she said quietly. "We lost 5 years," Dr. Wong said. "Maybe more." The neural drain was heavier than we expected. "Was it worth it?" Kelly asked. Her voice sounded tired. Amy looked at the view screen. The swarm pieces were gone. For the first time in 3 years, they had been driven back. "Ask me again when we save the galaxy," Amy said. Dr. Nathan Brooks watched the battle from the command ship New Horizon. He was excited that the weapons worked, but worried about what he was seeing. The swarm was learning. It was adapting to human brain energy faster than he had hoped. "Admiral Carter," he said into his communicator. "We need to talk." Lisa Carter came to his lab an hour later. She looked older than she had 6 months ago. The stress of leading humanity's last fight was wearing on her. "What is it, Nathan?" she asked. "The swarm is changing," he said. "Look at these readings." He showed her data from the battle. The numbers showed that the swarm had started to resist human brain energy by the end of the fight. "They are learning to eat our thoughts," Nathan explained. "In a few more battles, our weapons will not work anymore." Carter sat down heavily. "How long do we have?" "Maybe a month," Nathan said. "Maybe less." "That is not enough time to reach their main nest," Carter said. "We need at least 3 months to get there." Nathan nodded. "Unless we find a way to make our weapons stronger." "How?" Nathan was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "We would need to focus all of humanity's brain power into one attack. Every volunteer, every ship, all working together." "A suicide mission," Carter said. "Yes," Nathan admitted. "The energy drain would kill everyone involved. But it might be strong enough to destroy the swarm's central mind." Carter looked at the pictures of the swarm on Nathan's walls. "And if we fail? Then the swarm eats the galaxy, and we all die anyway," Nathan said. "But if we succeed, we save everyone." Carter stood up. "I will ask for volunteers." "Admiral," Nathan said, "everyone who goes on this mission will die." "Are you sure people will volunteer?" Carter smiled sadly. "Nathan, we have been asking people to die for 6 months. So far, no one has said no." That night, Carter sent a message to all the human ships. She explained that they needed volunteers for a final mission. She was honest about what would happen. Everyone who went would die. The response was immediate. Every ship volunteer. Every crew member signed up. People fought for the chance to be chosen. Amy Rodriguez was one of the first to volunteer. So was Kelly Morgan and Paul Chun and Dr. Wong. Even though they had already aged from the first battle, they wanted to help with the final attack. "Why?" Carter asked Amy during a private meeting. "You have already given enough." Amy looked out at the stars. "Because if we do not stop them now, they will keep eating planets. My daughter lives on Earth. My parents live on Mars. I want them. To be safe, you might never see them again, Carter said. I know, Amy said, but they will be alive. That is what matters. Carter chose 12 volunteers for the final mission. They would take the fastest ship and fly directly to the swarms. Main nest. They would focus all their life energy into one massive attack. The night before the mission, Amy wrote a letter to her daughter. She told her about the fight against the swarm. She explained why she had to go. I love you more than all the stars. In the sky, she wrote, and because I love you, I have to do this. Take care of your grandmother. Be brave. Remember that your mother fought to keep you safe. Amy sealed the letter and gave it to Admiral Carter. Make sure she gets this, she sighed. I will, Carter promised. The next morning, the 12 volunteers boarded their ship. It was called the Defiant, the same name as Amy's old ship. They flew away from the fleet toward the dark heart of the galaxy where the swarm's main nest waited behind. Them, the rest of the human fleet, watched them go. No one spoke. Everyone knew this was goodbye. Amy looked back one last time at the ships, carrying her friends and fellow humans. Then she turned toward the enemy. The final battle was about to begin. In the distance, the void swarm's main nest pulsed with dark energy. It was bigger than anything humans had ever seen. It covered 3 entire solar systems, but Amy was not afraid. She was ready to give everything to save the people she loved. That was what humans did. They gave everything for hope. The ship Defiant flew through the darkness toward the center of the void swarm's nest. Around them, space itself seemed to be alive with hungry energy. Black clouds moved between the stars, like giant sea creatures hunting for food. Amy Rodriguez sat in the pilot's seat, her hands steady on the controls. She was no longer young. The brain energy battles had aged her by 20 years. Her hair was white and her face had deep lines, but her eyes were still bright with determination. Behind her, 11 other volunteers sat connected to the ship's brain energy system. Each person was ready to give their life to save the galaxy. They had all written letters to their families. They had all said goodbye. Lieutenant Kelly Morgan was the youngest at 25, but she looked 40 now. Engineer Paul Chun's hands shook as he worked at his station. Dr. Lisa Wang could barely stand, but she refused to rest. Teacher Mark Williams whispered prayers for his students back on Earth. Farmer Joe Martinez thought about his fields on Mars. Each volunteer came from a different world, but they all shared the same goal. They wanted to stop the swarm from eating everything they loved. How long until we reach the center? Amy asked. 2 hours, Kelly replied. Her voice was weak but determined. The swarm is trying to stop us, but we are too fast. Through the ships' windows, they could see the swarm's main nest. It was bigger than anything humans had ever imagined. The dark mass stretched across space like a huge spider web. At the center was something that pulsed with terrible energy. That must be their main brain, Dr. Wang said. If we can destroy that, the whole swarm will die. Or it will get very angry, Paul Chun added. Amy managed a small smile. Either way, we will find out soon. The ship shook as swarm creatures attacked it, but the brain energy shields held. The volunteers were pouring their life force into the ship's defenses. With each attack, they grew older and weaker. I can feel them in my mind, whispered Sarah Bell, a nurse from the asteroid colonies. They are trying to understand us. Do not let them, Amy said. Keep your thoughts focused on home. Think about the people you love. The volunteers closed their eyes and thought about their families. Amy thought about her daughter playing in the park on Earth. Kelly thought about her little brother learning to fly. Paul thought about his wife cooking dinner in their small apartment. The swarm creatures pulled back, confused by the human emotions. They had never felt love before. They did not understand why these small beings would die for others. 1 hour to target, Kelly announced. But her voice was getting weaker. Amy turned to look at her crew. Half of them looked like they were 90 years old. Their bodies were failing as their life energy flowed into the ship's weapons. "I want to say something," Amy said, "in case we do not get another chance." The volunteers looked at her with tired eyes. "When I was a little girl," Amy continued, "my grandmother told me that heroes are not people who are not afraid. Heroes are people who are afraid, but do the right thing anyway." She paused to wipe tears from her eyes. "I am scared. I know you are all scared too, but we are doing the right thing. No matter what happens, we are heroes. We are just people." Mark Williams said softly, "People who could not stand by and watch the galaxy die." "That is what makes us heroes," Amy replied. The ship flew deeper into the swarm's nest. The darkness around them was so thick it seemed solid. Strange lights flashed in the distance like alien lightning. 30 minutes to target, Kelly said. But now she looked like a very old woman. Her hands could barely hold the controls. One by one, the volunteers began to die. The energy drain was too much for their bodies. Joe Martinez went first, his eyes closing as he thought about his farm. Then Sarah Bell, her last words about the patients she had helped. Then Mark Williams, whispering the names of his students. Amy felt their minds disconnect from hers. Each death made her cry, but it also made their weapons stronger. The volunteers were not just dying. They were becoming part of something bigger. "I can see it," Paul Chun gasped. "The center, it is so big." The swarm's main brain filled the view screen. It was a massive thing that pulsed with dark energy. Around it, thousands of smaller swarm creatures swirled like a storm. "This is it," Amy said. "Kelly, can you get us closer?" Kelly nodded, but she was barely conscious. Her young face was now ancient. "I will try." The ship dove toward the center of the nest. Swarm creatures attacked from all sides, but the remaining volunteers fought them off with pure human willpower. They thought about their children, their parents, their friends. They thought about sunny days and home-cooked meals and everything good in the universe that the swarm creatures recoiled. They had never experienced such strong emotions. For the first time in their existence, they felt something like fear. 10 minutes to target, Kelly whispered. Only 4 volunteers were still alive. Amy, Kelly, Paul, and Dr. Wang. They were all ancient now, their bodies failing. But their minds were still strong. "I want to tell you something," Dr. Wang said. "I studied the swarm for months. I do not think they are evil. I think they are just hungry. They come from a place where there is no food, no energy. They eat because they have to. Does that change anything?" Amy asked. "No," Dr. Wang replied. "They are still killing billions of people. We still have to stop them." The ship reached the edge of the swarm's main brain. Up close, it was even more terrible. The thing was alive, but it was alien in ways that hurt to look at. It pulsed with the energy of 1,000 dead worlds. 5 minutes, Kelly said. She could barely speak. Amy looked at her remaining crew. They were all dying, but they were still fighting. She had never been more proud of anyone in her life. "I love you all," she said. "It has been an honor to serve with you." "The honor is ours," Paul Chun replied. Dr. Wang smiled. "Tell my husband I said goodbye." "I will," Amy promised, even though she knew she would not survive to deliver the message. Kelly's hands fell from the controls. She looked at Amy with eyes that had seen too much. "I cannot fly anymore," she whispered. "You have to finish this." Amy took the controls. The ship was shaking apart as the swarm brain tried to destroy it. But she held it steady, flying directly toward the center of the alien mind. Now, she shouted. Paul Chun pressed the button that would release all the remaining life energy at once. The ship's brain energy weapons charged up with everything they had left. Amy felt her life flowing out of her body. She felt Paul and Dr. Wang and Kelly dying beside her. But she also felt their love, their hope, their determination to save the galaxy. The energy beam that shot from their ship was unlike anything the universe had ever seen. It was pure human consciousness, focused and amplified beyond imagination. It carried the hopes of an entire species and the love of parents for their children. The beam hit the swarm's main brain, and something incredible happened. The alien mind, which had existed for millions of years, suddenly experienced human emotion for the first time. It felt love and sacrifice and hope. The swarm's brain convulsed as it tried to understand these new feelings. For creatures that had only known hunger, the concepts of love and sacrifice were overwhelming. Amy's last thought was of her daughter. She hoped the little girl would grow up in a galaxy where the stars were safe. Then the ship exploded in a burst of light that could be seen across the galaxy. The brain energy weapon had done its job. The swarm's main mind was destroyed, but something else happened too. As the alien brain died, it changed. The human emotions that had killed also transformed. Instead of simply ending, the swarm began to evolve. For the first time in their existence, the swarm creatures began to think as individuals. They stopped being a single hungry mind and became billions of separate beings. They felt emotions they had never known before, and the first emotion they felt was regret for all the lives they had taken. The galaxy watched in amazement as the void swarm stopped eating and started to change. The dark clouds began to glow with new light. The creatures that had once been destroyers were becoming something new. Amy Rodriguez and her crew were gone, but their sacrifice had done more than save the galaxy. They had given their enemies the gift of consciousness. They had turned destroyers into creators. The war was over. Hope had won. The light from the exploding ship spread across the galaxy like a gentle wave. On Earth, people looked up at the night sky and saw new stars being born. On Mars, children pointed at the bright colors dancing between the planets. On the asteroid colonies, miners stopped their work to watch the beautiful display. Admiral Lisa Carter stood on the bridge of the New Horizon, watching the screens that showed what was happening across the galaxy. The void swarm was changing. The dark clouds were becoming bright and colorful. The creatures that had eaten planets were now creating new ones. "Admiral," Dr. Nathan Brooks said, his voice full of wonder, "the swarm is not dying. It is transforming." Carter looked at the data on the screens. The alien creatures were still there, but they were different now. Instead of a single hungry mind, they had become millions of individual beings. Each one was thinking its own thoughts, feeling its own emotions. "They are trying to communicate," the ship's radio officer reported. "We are getting signals from all over the galaxy." "Put them through," Carter ordered. A new voice filled the bridge. It was strange and musical, like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. But somehow, everyone could understand it. "We are sorry," the voice said. "We did not know. We did not understand. We were hungry, and we ate everything. But now we know about love and sacrifice. We feel what you feel. We want to help." Carter felt tears in her eyes. The creatures that had almost destroyed the galaxy were now asking for forgiveness. "Who are you?" she asked. "We were the swarm," the voice replied. "Now we are many. We are individuals. We have names and dreams and hopes. The humans who died in the bright ship gave us this gift. They taught us to be more than hunger. Dr. Brooks stepped forward. Can you bring back the worlds you destroyed? The people who died? There was a long pause. Then the voice said, We cannot bring back the dead, but we can build new worlds. We can create new life. We have the energy of 1,000 suns. We want to use it to heal instead of harm. Over the next few days, the transformed swarm began to work. They took the energy they had stolen from dead worlds and used it to create new planets. Green worlds. With blue oceans appeared where there had been only empty space. The creatures planted forests and filled the seas with fish. But the most amazing thing happened when the other alien races returned. The Galactic Coalition had been hiding at the edge of the galaxy, waiting for the swarm to find them. When they saw the bright lights and new worlds being created, they came back to investigate. Commander Zeth of the Zealothi was the first to speak with the transformed swarm. A tall blue alien had spent months in fear, but now he was amazed. How is this possible? He asked Carter. The swarm was pure destruction. How did you change them? Carter smiled. We did not change them. We just showed them what they could become. General Krav of the Corvin was harder to convince. The warrior race had lost many worlds to the swarm. They wanted revenge, not forgiveness. They killed billions of our people, Krav said. Why should we trust them now? Because, Carter replied, 12 humans died to give them the chance to be better. If we do not trust them, then those deaths meant nothing. The ancient Vorthok were the most surprised of all. They had lived for millions of years and seen many wonders, but they had never seen enemies become friends through sacrifice. Your species has taught us something new, the old Vorthok leader told Carter. We thought wisdom came from age and experience, but you have shown us that wisdom can come from love and hope. The transformed swarm creatures were eager to make up for the damage they had caused. They shared their knowledge of energy and creation. They helped build new cities and heal damaged worlds. They taught the other races how to travel between dimensions and create matter from pure thought. But the most important thing they shared was the knowledge they had gained from the human sacrifice. They had learned about emotions, about love, about the willingness to die for others. They wanted to spread these concepts throughout the galaxy. Dr. Brooks spent months studying the transformed creatures. He discovered that they had not just learned human emotions. They had become part human in a way. The brain energy from Amy Rodriguez and her crew had mixed with their alien minds, creating something entirely new. They are not the same species that attacked us, he told Carter. They are hybrids now. Part swarm, part human. They have our capacity for love and sacrifice, but they also have their own ability to create and transform. Carter nodded. And what about us? Are we still human? Brooks smiled. We are more human than ever. A neural linking process has connected all of humanity. We can feel each other's emotions across the galaxy. We have become one people in a way we never were before. It was true. The humans who had volunteered for the brain energy experiments found that they could sense other humans' thoughts and feelings. Families separated by light years could still feel each other's love. Friends on different worlds could share their joys and sorrows. The neural connections had created a new kind of human civilization. People worked together better because they could feel each other's needs. Wars between human colonies ended because soldiers could feel their enemies' pain. Crime almost disappeared because criminals could feel their victims' suffering. Jake Morrison, who had watched the Coalition vote to retreat so many months ago, now worked as a teacher on New Earth. Earth was a planet created by the transformed swarm as a gift to humanity. It was more beautiful than any world in the galaxy. In his classroom, Jake taught children from many different species. Human children sat next to young Zealothi and Corvin. The transformed swarm creatures had created small bodies for themselves, so they could attend school with the other species. Today, we will learn about the Battle of the Bright Ship, Jake said to his students. Can anyone tell me why it was important? A young human girl raised her hand. Because Captain Rodriguez and her crew saved the galaxy? That is part of it, Jake said. But why did they succeed when everyone else failed? A young Zealothy student spoke up. Because they had better weapons? Jake shook his head. No, their weapons were not better. They were different. Can anyone tell me how? A small transformed swarm creature, who had chosen the name Hope, raised her hand. Because they used love as a weapon. They fought with their hearts, not just their minds. Very good, Hope, Jake said. The humans succeeded because they were willing to sacrifice everything for others. They turned their love into power. An older Corvin student looked confused. But how can love be a weapon? Love is soft. Weapons are hard, Jake smiled. Love is the strongest force in the universe. It can change enemies into friends. It can turn destruction into creation. It can give people the courage to do impossible things. He pointed to a picture on the wall. It showed the 12 volunteers who had died in the final battle. Amy Rodriguez's face was in the center, smiling and brave. These people were not the strongest or the smartest, Jake said, but they loved their families and their friends more than they loved their own lives. That love gave them the power to save everyone. After class, Jake walked through the gardens of New Earth. The plants here were unlike anything that had ever grown before. The transformed swarm creatures had created them using both alien technology and human imagination. The flowers sang in. The breeze in the trees grew in impossible spirals of color. He stopped at a memorial that had been built for the 12 volunteers. Their names were carved in stone that glowed with soft light. At the top, in large letters, were the words, "When all others gave up, humanity rose and hope was reborn." Jake read each name slowly. Amy Rodriguez, Kelly Morgan, Paul Chun, Lisa Wang, Mark Williams, Joe Martinez, Sarah Bell, and 5 others who had given everything for the galaxy. "Thank you," he whispered. A gentle voice answered him. It was Hope, the young swarm creature who had been in his class. "They are not gone," she said. "Part of them lives in all of us now. When we destroyed our main brain, their thoughts became part of our new minds. We carry their love and their courage with us." Jake smiled. "So they are still saving the galaxy?" "Every day," Hope replied. "Every time we choose to create instead of destroy. Every time we help instead of harm. Every time we love instead of hate." That night, Jake looked up at the stars. The galaxy was brighter now than it had ever been. New worlds glowed with life. Ships from different species traveled together in peace. The neural connections between humans let him feel the happiness of his people on distant worlds. But most in worlds, he could feel something else. He could feel the love that Amy Rodriguez and her crew had shared with the galaxy. It was still there, still growing, still changing enemies into friends. The galaxy had been saved not by the strongest weapons or the smartest plans. It had been saved by 12 people who loved others more than themselves. They had shown that hope could overcome any darkness. That love could transform any enemy. Jakes smiled and went to sleep, dreaming of the bright ship that had carried human love to the stars. In his dream, Amy Rodriguez was still flying, still fighting, still saving the galaxy one heart at a time. The war was over. The galaxy was safe. And hope would never die again.